Welcome
Watch
back,
it
everybody.
again. Hit it again.
I almost restarted the video. Hey, can you hear us, folks? I promise it's the last time I'll ask.
Everybody talk really loud. Wah! Or make noises.
Well, as long as they can hear you, one
Don't
of you,
tell
they
me
can
what
hear
to
all
do.
of you. All right.
Thank
All
you,
right.
David.
Thank you, everybody, for the help. Let's jump into the recap for tonight. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. All right. On the second afternoon of Lunan Gloam, the snowy shadow on Atolva's dog, the Wayward Five began their journey through the fields of glass. With the guidance of Katya, they chose to take the northern pass to reach the monastery, her monastery, the Leviathrok Order, to ask for help in tracking down the Glass Titan and hunting a sand lurker, and perhaps more. As they took the 12-day journey, they used the downtime to investigate Scarlet's whereabouts. Through Wiswick's scrying and Kiron's use of the old Observer Orb, a known Wayward One relic, they saw her imprisoned with a strange chamber fused with a strange flesh material. But she was not alone in this chamber. They saw a creature, half man, half spider, controlling her and seemingly the mechanisms of this chamber. The longer they watched, or at least the longer Wiswick watched at first, the creature took Scarlet from her imprisonment and sat her in a chair, and they started to see magical images of Wiswick, as this creature seems to have seen through his scry. And the torture and indoctrination began on Scarlet. As Curon observed, he saw images of himself as well. Kinsley, Thatcher, many different enemies that they were creating for Scarlet, who they called Bloodraven. Curon attempted to pierce through this by casting Ascending on Scarlet, beseeching her, trying to reach her. He received a response from her that was not her, saying there was no one by that name here. There was no one by the name Rowan or Scarlet. There was only Bloodraven, and that Curon needed to die. As Curon pushed further in his attempts to interfere, he found himself shunted by a force, as he was almost corporealized within this chamber, and a creature grasped him at his throat. A pale-faced woman with black eyes, red pupils. Her clothes, red and black, seemed to waver, and he could see the history of her movements, as if multiple of her were there, blurring. She was hard to comprehend, but she warned him to stop and shunted him out of this vision. There was the unmistakable reek of the Shadowfell in this magic. Our heroes discussed what could possibly hold their friend and came to the conclusion that they were not done with the Scathe Fulum, literal manifestations of the Shadowfell and its hunger. But they needed to focus on the task at hand in order to be strong enough to save her, or at least they believed so. So you continued and pressed on. And as you passed through the barren salt flats, you saw evidence of former civilizations all around, when these flats were once a great sea. Wiswick mused that the drying up might have been part of the Morrisier conflict, due to the advanced age of the ruins and rock. As you got closer to the Order, you felt the earth shake, as a sand lurker leapt from the flats to devour a large lizard creature you saw in the distance. Katya grew concerned that the beasts were so close to the order. His feeling only grew as you eventually passed into the ravines that led up the side of the cliff into the order, and you found an infestation of lightning salamanders there. You snuck past with some clever spell use. But these paths shouldn't be this dangerous. You reached the peak and found the secluded Leviathrok order. There were a few people there, and Katya saw a human man who looked like he was probably in his 50s or 60s, painting on the cliffside, watching the view from so high up. This, we found out, was the Ardent Eye, leader of the clerics of this monastery. He greeted her and gave her the painting, which depicted the party and her arrival there. For the Ardent Eye has the gift of foresight, and saw that they were coming, and what their journey was. But he also told her that some old friends had arrived to the order, Barthiel and Kala. And Kala being her mentor, and Farthiel, an old friend, another kobold hunter. She came back to the party and brought them to the main structure to meet the other leader of this order, the Ardent Huntress. An old drow woman with childlike enthusiasm and a love for life greeted them, telling Katya that it was okay for her to go visit her old friends, as she got to know the other members of the Wayward Five. In the steeps where the kobold hunters live, she found Farthiel the half-orc, her old friend, and Nkala, her old mentor. Nkala sat by the bed with one of the diviners, another cleric of the order, as Farthiel suffered in the bed from grievous wounds. The diviner reported that his death was near, that they had seen it. Overwhelmed, she stayed by her friend's side. The wounds weren't healing and were said to have happened somewhere in the Fields of Glass, and he crawled his way back. A mystery. Above in the firmaments, with the main structure, the Wayward Five settled in. Oh, and one other thing I forgot. The Ardent Eye knew about Ilivanya, the goddess of Kiran, but called her by another name, Eladra, and knew that he was seeking her out at the oases. But we left off with Katya separated from the party as you all begin to settle in to the Leviathrok order. Currently, Wiswick is in the back in the kitchens, teaching the diviners how to make ice cream, I believe, with yak's milk. And
Sure.
that's what they got. Kiran and Timber are in the main chamber right now, as you would see a just simple dining hall, essentially a long hall, longhouse style. A few monks and kobold hunters are there. You see more of the diviners, these clerics, than you do of folks who are dressed like Katya and the monk garb. These clerics dress in very plain clothes, just brown tunics. They dress like hobbits, essentially. They've got the pants with the suspenders, simple tunic. They're very simple in their attire and their presence. A different form of ascetism than you're used to seeing in other monks, and even the kobold hunters. Katya, you are still below with Farthiel. Go ahead.
I imagine I'm drinking heavily.
Yeah, well, I imagine once the diviner and Nkala left, you would just start to.
Oh yeah.
To drink.
Oh yeah.
What are you drinking? Because all you have right now is mud wine.
I know. Well, This is where
That's my mud wine.
That is his mud wine. This is where Katya would live, right? In the steeps, like she has an abode here.
That's true. You would have personal belongings here.
Yeah. So I imagine I would have like sprinted there, grabbed whatever bottles I could, and came back. And
Most of them almost empty.
most of them
True.
almost empty.
You would, and they would
Yeah.
be old.
Yep. I don't. She doesn't care. She's just knocking it back. Anything to stop the inevitable.
Yes. Okay.
Wish I had a bottle prop. Just a cup.
You'll have to get one.
I
Make
know.
sure you cut off the label. But yes, you were easily able to find some old wine and liquor and some old mead and beer. It's all like just like the bottom dregs. Like there's stuff floating in it. And the wine is almost sour to vinegar. But you force your way through it to contain the feelings. The rest of you, what would you like to do? You are currently with the Kobold Huntress is there. The Ardent Eye, I'm sorry, the Ardent Huntress. The Ardent Eye will likely be coming in soon as they get more prepared for the feast that night. It's probably around 4 o'clock. The sun is setting. You will soon be served whatever meals they're preparing for you, for whatever evening rituals they might have. Is there anything in particular you'd like to do at this point?
Wiswick, while he's doing his thing, teaching, I guess cooking, I feel like most of the work in this whole thing was just like he created this dish out of like experimenting with magic and like edible foods, and and so like a lot of it he's doing is like basically casting magic. Do I get a sense that he knows magic from this, or?
Well, you're with the Ardent Huntress, the old drow woman.
Right.
She definitely she's familiar with the magic. And as you're casting these spells, you can see, that small. Well, she's not small to you, but nor to really anyone because she's a drow. But she's leaning on this staff and almost crooked at a 90-degree angle, watching you work. That huge wrinkled grin. The eyes disappear as the wrinkles go up with the cheekbones, and she just sort of is laughing and giggling as she watches it. I see. You're using mostly magic for this. Well, we have our own magic here. We can make do. Yes.
Yeah, maybe you could work on, something to go with it.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, anything sweet is probably a good combo, considering it is more of a dessert dish. If I could just search around the kitchen and look for some flavors, we could whip something up.
She nods to you and says, by all means, explore. You're free to explore the kitchens. When she kind of directs some of the diviners to allow you to look at some of the stores, they're a little irritated because they have like a pretty strict routine they usually follow, and this is without warning, they're suddenly preparing strange new foods for all of you. But it rolls off their shoulders pretty well, considering the kind of tenets of the order. But yeah, you're free to search for some sweet goods.
As I'm searching through the kitchen, I want to keep an eye on specific things, like if there's any cutlery, where that would be, and perhaps just gotta know where things are in a pinch, and what's everybody looking like that to me?
You gonna steal from my order?
No, I think he's planning in case he needs a butter knife to attack them with.
Yeah, I think it's
I
because he
don't
doesn't
know.
trust.
That's worse.
Just for reference, the diviners all around you are a broad mix of races from both the southern Beastlands folk, but also you notice some northern folk, just like how the Ardent Eye is a human man. You notice there's there's some halflings. You notice tabaxi. You notice all sorts coming from all walks of life. There are a lot more of these diviners than there are kobold hunters, like I said, because they call this home while the hunters go out, like Katya. There's cutlery all over the place because it is a kitchen.
Okay. Is there ever a chance where like I could get her on like a task or something like that, and possibly just like slip away?
How would you like to try to do that? Because she's really just kind of like following you and watching you, curious about your behavior. Because there's not a lot of Zvirfneblin here. There's no Zvirfneblin here, but you. So she's just very curious and watching you act, and not in a malevolent way. She's genuinely charmed by you, not in the magical way.
So in order to like speed things along, I started using like telekinesis to pull out things that like we were using, and like I can't reach everything.
You are very, very creative with your magic. You must be very trained, very learned to have such things.
Absolutely. I'm probably the most learned gnome you'll ever meet.
I don't meet many gnomes down here.
But we're not talking magic, although it's my favorite subject. We're in the kitchen right now, so we got to keep our eyes on the prize, if you know what I mean.
Let's continue.
So I'm just like
she's doing nothing, by the way. She's just watching you make ice cream and look for good things that like she's not like actually actively learning how to make the ice cream. She's just enjoying watching you make the ice cream.
So I'm like doing 3 things at once, but like, the 4th thing that I do is I just like take a knife and like stab it into a pile of flour and just have it like fall all over the floor. I'm just like, oh, sorry. Yeah, that's my bad.
She waves her hand and it's mended immediately.
Oh.
No, she doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. Because she doesn't have that kind of magic. But she does immediately call over a diviner, though, who almost immediately mends it with some magic.
But you got flour all over the floor. Let me go get a broom or something to clean it up. I'll just be 1 minute.
She points over to the broom closet, and as you walk over to it, she's still walking right behind you, watching every single move you make. As this diviner, it hates you so much as he's mending this sack of flour, and he's like goes back to do his task, whatever it is, like chopping meat and getting it ready, and he's just looking back at you through the corner of his eye, like waiting for you to break something else.
I'm gonna like I reach into the closet carefully, and then I turn around quickly, and she's like right there in front of me, and I'm like, oh
yeah, and remember she's like crooked down, looking at you as leaning on this spear that she uses as a staff, a walking stick.
I don't know. It's kind of intimidating when you're like so much taller than me and you look down. Can you like kneel to my level while we're talking? It would make me feel a lot more comfortable.
And you see she smiles at this, and she's just like, of course. How about this instead? And you see she picks you up and puts you onto the table next to her.
God.
See, now we are at equal footing.
Yeah, that's better. Great, wonderful. Eventually, Wiswick's like almost done with like cooking, and he is like finishing doing the finishing touches as fast as he can, and he looks over to her and says like, okay, it's great, we're done. Thanks so much for being my sous chef. You've been a great help. I really gotta go now. You know, it was a pleasure. I hope you learned something. I'm just gonna go back to my friends, okay?
Hi, before you go, I would like to try some of this. You see, she grabs a wooden spoon and she dips it. How well did you make this ice cream? Did you legitimately make some good ice cream?
I made. It's kind of like I would imagine it's something like when you take like a 3-year-old to like a 17 handles type place, and it's good ice cream, it's good stuff, but I just put way too many toppings on there because I didn't really know it was gonna be good. Like everything that just looked good, I was like, yeah. So
like
I'm
you
sure
threw
it
like
good.
they've got specialty gardens here, so you're noticing like these berries that you've never. The other thing is you like a lot of ingredients like you don't know what it is. Like there's just like a berry unique to this region that you throw on there. You don't know if it's bitter or sweet or sour, and you're just throwing it all on there. You know, you threw a bunch of.
It was that bad, Sean.
Okay.
Tasted it first.
Then I'll allow it to at least be a lot of stuff, but things that actually go with ice cream. So you see, she dips the spoon in and takes it up, and it's a big bite. It's got crushed berries on it. It's got some mostly oats on it. It has a few other things, but she tastes it really quickly. And I'm gonna roll to see if she likes it. I'm gonna give her advantage because she likes sweet things. All right, you see, she tastes it, and you see for a moment. She puts the spoon in her mouth. She's like, a huge smile clicks over her face. It's delicious. Some of the best things I've ever eaten. Oh, we will need to learn to make this ourselves for sure. Thank you, Weezwick, for sharing this joy with us. You may go with your friends now. We will prepare dinner.
Yeah, Wiswick just like it looks like he just doesn't even move, like he just slides across the kitchen counter, like out towards the door. Like he was just getting like more and more creeped out the way she was looking over her shoulder, and like at first it was like kindly and sweet, but then he like was getting nervous and wanted to explore, and he's happy that she's happy.
While this has been
great, thanks, bye.
While this has been going on, Huron, is there anything you'd like to do in the main chamber? I mean, largely what's here is the dining area. You do see kind of up in the front, in the back. On the wall, you do see some, similar to the vestibule you walk through, there are trophies there. Different bones, mostly, of creatures they've slain. And then at the kind of base of that wall, you would see a small... not dais, but stone tablet, similar to the one you saw Katya using when she made a sacrifice not too long ago, or at least an offering. And you can see it has similar runes carved on it. You can see there's a basin of water next to it. You can see there's this washing stone that they use with it. This seems to be the order's main offering tablet. And that kind of like general area seems to have some like drainage around it too, for any kind of ritual offerings that they do there at the head of the table or head of the room. There are a few doors that lead to other chambers here, but most of this firmament is this room, and then a little bit beyond it where you saw that tower in the original image.
Okay. So first things first, Kieran turns to Kaze and goes, "Let's have a little one-on-one discussion, shall we?"
Yes, very good.
I don't think that is wise, Kieran. I am very tired.
All right, then. And Kieran just waves a hand and walks off. So there's two things I would like to do. One is approach the dais kind of putts around until maybe someone comes over. And if and when the Argent Eye enters the room, Kieran will hope that he approaches him. As in the Argent Eye approaches Kieran.
Yeah.
And if he
So,
doesn't, then maybe Kieran will chase him.
What I'm getting here is
like-
you're gonna do a little bit of sightseeing until the Arden Eye comes in.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, easy enough to do. You get up close to the this tablet, and you can see like it's not like there's a slight discoloration to it in the sense that there's been you see some scorch marks on it, and some kind of like flecks of red remaining from ritual offerings. The scorch marks you recognize immediately as incense markings, or just the remains of incense markings. You would notice some of the bones on the walls now, after seeing this, do have slight scorch marks on them. As if whatever piece of the creature, if it was edible, it was cooked. If it wasn't edible, it was taken off and used for other means. So some of the bones have that. And you would wait here for quite a while as you would see these, like, a few kobold hunters eye you as they finish their meals and get up. You can see they have exact same garb as Katya, except they have, where Katya has that, I don't know if she ever described this actually, but she has a giant
horn.
Yeah, the horn, thank you. They have other charms that were likely from an animal a creature that they hunted in their initiation, potentially, or part of their initiation. They all have the exact same spear as her, though, down to the runes you've noticed on it. There's a few of them kind of look at you curiously, and some of them even maybe like step up to like, what's this old fool doing? But a diviner will typically go up and stop them. And sort of not shoo them off, but push them towards continuing with whatever they were going to do, and they leave. These diviners, if you were in Oxland, you'd mistake them for like servants, cleaning and fixing things up. Eventually, after waiting a little while, Wiswick would come out of the kitchens. The Ardent Eye hasn't come back yet, but Wiswick, you see Kieran kind of exploring the chambers, looking at the trophies, looking at the dais. It's largely empty in here. There's just the flickering of the torches, a few diviners moving throughout. Wiswick, is there anything particular you want to do as you enter?
Yeah, I think Wiswick just, like, really what was going through his mind is he wanted to explore the ruins more. Like, he doesn't really have too much interest in the Cobalt Hunters themselves, more about where they chose to build their or have their order. So he believes that there might be something more significant here besides like the monk traditions, like maybe some secrets of the past. So he's going to start.
Hear from Katya that there is a library here somewhere in here that might have more information. Also, if there's anyone who would know this information, you could easily presume it's likely the diviners and not the Cobalt Hunters, because they seem to live here.
Yeah, so I probably would have caught up with Kieran, just waved him over. Hey! I mean, I just got back from the kitchens. These people are pretty intense. I thought she was breathing down my neck the whole time. I thought she was like staring daggers at me. It was a little nerve-wracking. I hope I did a good job. She seemed happy.
Yes, that seems hard to not amuse the ardent huntress. She seemed quite enamored with you, actually. I'm surprised she came off so hostily.
It wasn't really hostile. It was just creepy. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just not comfortable with old people. I say, staring at Kieran.
Yes. Well, it seems like we're just waiting here until they come serve us dinner. I was hoping to speak with that painter, the Ardent Eye that Katya had spoken to when we first arrived. And I was actually kind of hoping to talk to someone around here, but no one seems to want to approach me.
Well,
I
we
always
could go
say,
exploring on our own. Maybe we could find a library that they were talking about.
well, all in due time, friend. I don't think we should go snooping around Guide's monastery. Maybe we can ask one of the diviners here if they'll bring us.
You know, the Sniffneplin were pretty good at divination back at home. We had a great pig. It would tell us the future. It was great. A lot of fun at
Yes.
parties.
I imagine. Where its reading's always correct.
100% every single time.
It's the fortune pig. I'm ready
You know,
to start
maybe
this lore.
a few hundred years ago I would have believed you, Wiswick, but I've become a little wiser since then.
You would hear the doors in the back open. It isn't the Ardent Eye, but you would see a white dragonborn walk in, Cobalt Hunter, who would actually pretty much like look at you directly as you came in, not recognizing you at all, but just sort of like understanding. And she starts walking up close to you. She has these violet eyes, and similar scales to Narasoth, except she has this like essentially like a vitiligo to her scales, where there's the white scales and then there's some that have different shades of blue that have like blotches throughout. You see the typical kind of like head fronds of Dragonborn are pulled back and held together with a band. She steps up to you two. The only peculiar thing here, and says, "You are the companions that Katya has brought here, correct?"
The Wayward Five. How can we be of service?
Why has Katya brought you here, and why is she back so soon from her rotations?
We hired her as a guide to take us through the fields of glass. I have a rendezvous in the oasis. And along the way, we were hoping to procure some alchemic goods from a benefactor in Vermelsia. Some, what was it? Glands from the sand lurkers and the scales, was it? Of the glass titan. Yes, the glass titan, the fabled one of that. So we hired your huntress, Katya, for that job. And it seemed safer to come up this way than to just head straight in.
And you, Kirin?
Kiran Isilistana, Twilight Cleric of Ilivanya. A pleasure.
The Eye has seen your arrival. I am in Kala.
I
was Katya's mentor before she became her own hunter.
Well, you trained quite the capable huntress. You have my thanks for that.
You got any good dirt on her? Some funny stories for when she was a trainee or something
Wiswick,
like that?
please.
But there is this one time.
Yes!
Yes, Katya, and it is still somewhat of a trait of hers, I'm sure you know, is a bit, can be a bit aggressive and forward.
She has a drinking problem.
Ruining the story, Kiran.
Put a,
Please.
Sorry.
put a stopper in that one. make sure to talk to her about that as her mentor. But she speaks her mind. Oh, there was this one time when she decided that she was going to speak her mind and complain about hiking up a mountain as we were hunting a great creature. So she said, "Why can't we rest here? It is a good spot. It is safe. There's nothing dangerous here." And as her mentor, she was clearly not using her perception. So I said, "Yes, of course, we will camp here because you have said it. And when you are a hunter on a mission, we will camp. When you say we camp, because you are a hunter." And then I sent her off to go get firewood, of course, in the dangerous area, because I knew we were not safe.
I like where this is going.
The next thing I knew, a couple 100 yards away, her and Farthiel. And Kieran, you would notice when she says Farthiel, she like pauses, and catches in her throat as she sighs. Well, and next thing I know that her and Farthiel, one of her old, classmates, were tumbling down a hill, falling, almost landing face first into piles of bear shit. Running from a bear that was tumbling down this hill as well. A great big fat mother bear. And if this is less funny now and more life about danger. But as they landed flat on each other's asses, almost face in bear shit, I had to kill the bear for them. In fact, this is more of a moral tale. It's the first day I taught them about making proper offerings for the creatures we kill. And she gets very quiet there. Like, she was gonna tell a funny story, and then she just proceeded to get very serious.
Yeah, Wislick was giggling at the funny parts, but then, like, when he realizes the tone is not there, he just, like, quiets himself down.
She pauses. Go ahead.
Thanks for sharing. That was a good one.
Yes, she was. Anyway, Huron.
Is something the matter?
Yes. The Ardent Eye says you are a cleric of Eladra.
I'm sorry? Ilivanya.
Moon goddess.
Right, of the Elysian Elves. Her shadow moon lays over our lands now, the last vestige of herself as she gave her life to protect us. Ilivanya.
I don't know the name Ilivanya. I know of the histories of Eladra, the moon goddess that protected the ancient civilizations that called this sea their home.
Kieran looks up as if he can see the moon from here. Well, I don't see her shattered corpse hanging in the skies here. This is the question that I always forget to ask. The shattered moon of Ilivanya, as I understand it, lays low in the skies above Elysia, constantly pouring out the smog.
Yes.
But it would not be seen from other parts.
Yeah, no, that's something we clarified a really long time ago, but
yes.
Yeah, it's
reiterate.
something that, like, maybe if you were on the outskirts of the mountains, you might see like a glimmer of its light, but it's like, when I say hanging low, I mean it's like very much so right above the valley. Yeah, no, you wouldn't be able to stay, like, they wouldn't be able to see it from here or anything like that.
Right. Yes. So to read it, Kieran does that, looks around and goes, "Well, I don't see her shattered corpse hanging low in the skies here."
Yes, well, you also will not find many worshippers of Iladra here anymore, except at the oasis.
Which is where I intend to go.
Yeah, maybe we could learn more. Maybe there's a whole new tribe of Ilivanya worshippers that we didn't even know about, Kiran. Remember when I learned about Abraxas and the Great Demon Bat? That was a real trip.
But you are a cleric of Iladra.
Well, of Iluvania. But yes, I suppose we're saying the same thing.
We used to bring the sick to the oasis for healing. We used to bring those that we could not heal ourselves.
That sounds like the powers of Iluvania at work. Her healing magics are, well, they're just divine.
That same foolish half-orc Farthiel that was... She catches herself like, I have not explained myself. The classmate from the story.
Yes.
He's sick. He's sick with something that digs deep into his veins.
What kind of ailment affects him? Is
His
it a
wounds.
curse? A wound?
His
Where did he
wounds
receive
are-
them?
We don't know what did it, but we know that it was in the fields of glass. He crawled miles to get back here. He'd have died out there alone if I had not found him. The wounds, they don't heal. There's a peculiar form of necrosis on them. It is not usual rot or infection. It is just that keeps him suffering. The Eye and his diviners say they have seen his death to this. And while I usually trust the diviners, there is a cleric of Iladra here.
Iluvania.
He would not survive
Sorry.
the journey to the oasis. But if you're here,
It's worth a shot.
if this Iluvanya is Iladra, perhaps he is not destined for the great hunt beyond. At least not today.
There are some magics that even through the power of Iluvania, I cannot heal through. I have learned that while she is incredibly powerful, she's not all powerful. But I simply say this to not give you any false hope. I will do what I can to help your friend. And we'll see what happens.
We've
Katya
actually
is with them now, but I don't know what you're doing now, but if you could come and look. I know the feast will begin shortly, but at least to give her some hope. Katya, I have not seen her so shattered. They're very close.
Of course. So, sorry, did she say that it would be better to do the healing now or after the...
She pretty much said, like, I know that you're meant to be eating soon, but would you mind coming and looking at my wounded friend?
Yes. Yes. Kiran will go, of course. We would be happy to come now.
Wiswick's on the way there just talking about, like, we've seen something like this before. I mean, we didn't have a solution for it then, but with more information, perhaps this sort of if it's anything like the curse that we saw from Timber, maybe we can, if we can find a solution to this problem, it might help us along the line. You never know.
I wonder if Caliph is even still alive. I hadn't checked in on him recently.
As you follow and call it out,
Yeah.
we're gonna go on a quick break to bring Alex in here because he is
Who?
Timber.
Kaze?
We'll see you soon, folks. It's I'd like to say it'll be 5 minutes, but it'll probably be 10 minutes because I'll have to fix some stuff with the overlay. But we'll see you very soon, in 5 to 10 minutes. Stick around. welcome back, everybody. We got our best boy here, Timber. He's back. You're the best boy. The goodest boy. Yes, exactly. In your wolf form with the ring tied around on your back. Yes, Kiran is getting his vows renewed to Ilivanya. All right. All right. So you all are leaving the Firmament Temple on the highest tiered rock here. As you're passing through, Kiran, and everyone really would see, still in the vegetable garden by the cliffside, the Ardent Eye is there, and he seems to be painting a new image. He does look to you all as you're walking by and maintains Kiran level creepy eye contact. A reminder of what this man looks like. He has the same hobbit attire as the other diviners. His face is... He looks like he's in his 60s, but there's like there's an age to him, a tiredness. His skin seems to hug his skull tight and taut. His eyes are almost wide and bulging a little bit. They have this blue color to them. His hair is a dark red, mingled with grays and whites. He has a very thin lips. He kind of looks like Willem Dafoe, if I'm going to put a person to it. But he does seem to just sort of like mid-stroke of a painting line. He does sort of just like, stare and watch you all, particularly making eye contact with you, Kiran. Give me a perception check. Okay, 26. You can see he's probably been painting since he gave that canvas to Katya. And you can see the start of an oasis. Fine, it's a vision of Kiran dying tomorrow. That's true. That was not a good comeback. Alex, can you say a few things just to check and see if they can hear you? Because for some reason... Oh, wait, hold up. I know what it is. I did not put in... I didn't put you guys into this one. Yeah, no, I got mine. I didn't put your guys in. Sorry, folks. I forgot I changed scenes here to get Timber in here, and I didn't add the audio from our friend there. All right. Can one of you all talk real quick to see if they hear you? Check, can you hear our friends again? Our lovely, lovely players? Yeah, the bar is working, so I'm assuming they can hear you. Sorry, so just real quick, because you all missed it because they were muted. Nothing? What? Oh, you know why? Because I have to transition back over. Check now, folks. Can you guys hear them now? I forgot that when you edit it in
Stop!
in studio mode, it's like that. Chat, can you hear them? Let us know.
Yep, we're good.
There we go. All right. By you missed it a little bit. They saw the Ardent Eye looking at them. Kiran used a perception check to try to see what he was painting, and he was beginning to paint an oasis. All right, we're good to go now, folks. Technical
Where we
issue
going?
solved.
Thanks, chat.
As you raise your staff to him, Curon, he would kind of raise the paintbrush in response, acknowledging you. But Inkala continues bringing you down back the path you came to where it forked, to where one path led lower and one path led higher, and she leads you down there. You can see there are these homes dug into the cliffside, where if you peek into them, you can see little small hearths, small ritual tables, and very simple cots in each of them, multiple cots in all of them. She brings you to one, and you can kind of see like where the edge of this cliff is. There's kind of like stone carved railings. They've essentially carved a protective layer into it, and you can hear the waterfalls from the ravine falling beneath you. But you get to a chamber where Inkala kind of looks to you and puts her arm out to lead you in. And looking in, you would see in the dim firelight, you would see Katya. Katya, what are you doing right now?
I imagine I've made my way through a lot of the bottles that I've brought, so I'm kind of like just in a chair, just kind of like idly holding a bottle, and just like every so often we'll glance at Farthiel to see if he's changed, if he's awake, and when he doesn't, and when every time she looks and he hasn't changed, she'll take a drink.
Yeah, he is used that same hoarse breathing as he's kind of been placed into this catatonic state, to try to comfort him a little. So that's what you would see. She's, I imagine the chair is pretty close to the bed that she's sitting in, slouched down with a bottle, several empty bottles around her. It looks like more than she's drank, though, because she was drinking the bottom of these bottles when there was... So it looks like she's had a lot more than she actually has. But you are definitely drunk.
Walking in, Kieran kind of pokes at the empty bottles with the butt of his staff and goes, "Well, I don't think this is really helping anyone. Move aside, Cobalt Huntress. I'm here to see if I can assist your friend here."
And you do it from the other side of the bed, because I'm not moving from his side.
Looking down at her, he's not sure if it's from drunkenness or stubbornness that she stays.
Both.
And shuffles around to the other side, leaning his staff up against the bed, cracks his fingers, and goes to inspect the wound.
Okay. Give me your choice of investigation, arcana, or religion.
Did I do it too?
Yeah. Yeah, anyone who wants to can come up. I'd say it gets a little
Can I
harder
do it from
for
my-
the... Can
I
you
was
do it?
kidding. I was like, could I do it from my nap?
No, you're there. I said that you decided to go with them. You're not...
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, you're up, curled up by the fire up back in the firmaments. No.
Yeah.
Just dreaming of the meat that's coming.
Yeah. Curon, what did you get?
Wait. What are you rolling?
Oh,
Kieran's going to do a medicine check because it makes the most sense.
Okay,
That's
I'll
fine,
go
yeah.
with Arcana because it's a big modifier.
Exactly.
Kieran got a 15.
Okay.
I got a 16.
Okay. So I mean, generally speaking, just as a healer, Curon, you would find that there are several wounds on the abdomen.
Timber got a 20, by the way.
Thank you. They appear to be slashing wounds from something serrated or just gnarly because they're very torn up. It's not clean cuts like you get from a well-crafted blade. You can see they are, where you pull back the bandages to look at them, they appear very fresh, but they're no longer like gushing blood. The flesh around them has blackened, And you do see from the blackened flesh, there appears to also be kind of like, in the same way an infected wound has like red streaks on it, these have green streaks on them. And the veins around the wound do glow slightly in a green way, reminiscent of the heart when it was active. Wiswick, you would notice this as well. With Arcana, though, I mean, there's not too much more you'll get with a 16. Other than that, it would remind you exactly of the same things as Curon. You'd probably have to get a little higher to get anything else from Arcana. What type of roll did you do, Timber?
Medicine.
Medicine, okay. Timber, with a 20, you would notice that the wounds they appear to not be healing. But when you look closer, they do look like they've not self-healed, but there's something about the magic that's infecting this wound that's keeping it from progressing. It's still killing him, but it's not progressing in any way. Like, normally these wounds would have killed someone within a day or two with how severe they are, just from bleeding out, even with medical help. You can also notice that the attack appears to have been, you kind of can line it up. It looks like it's one attack. Like, these aren't several attacks. It was one swipe that did this.
And it doesn't look like any sort of artificial man-made device. It looks like probably a monster.
It looks like it looks claws. It looks like claws.
Okay. Kieran, the wound looks infected with some sort of necrotic energy or
Can you
cursed
fix
disease?
it?
One moment, Kobold Huntress. Yes, it looks like it's infected by some magic of Kosri itself. The green glows, very reminiscent of the heart.
Oh, right.
The Wayward One's domain, where the Harbinger now rests. If the Harbinger has agents out in the wastes, I don't think that's a good sign.
Would they be agents or just infected or creatures from?
I assume any
this-
creature from Kosri is an agent of the Harbinger. They're all construct-like, aren't they?
True, but they act on their own. Maybe, I don't know. If. Anyway, can you remove curses like
Can
this?
you fix it?
Hold on, Kobold Hunters.
And Kala would
Huron
step
is-
over to kind of gently put an arm on Katya and try to not move her, but lift her up a little bit to get her on her feet. To noticing after Curon said she has a drinking problem,
Yep.
and Kala's like, "Oh fuck." She's a drinking problem.
Your student's done.
Katya, you know that is not helping. They need to.
It's helping for now.
You
but you-
have done nothing to help. Now,
Sean,
please.
Katya, Kala will try to lift you up to not leave, but to pull you away slightly.
Well, I won't resist it. I won't be happy about it, but I'll stumble along with her.
Wiswick, you had
Uh,
something?
Yes. Wiswick's gonna slowly pull out the necromantic tuning fork that he acquired,
Mhm.
and just looks at Curon
No.
and says,
No, do not do that again.
"Well, I mean, last time it kind of did work,
Yes, but
technically."
in the wrong way. Timber's gonna
I-
like mage hand, like shove it back into his bag. Like no.
I don't know if that should be our first instinct. I like where your head's at, though, Wiswick. I mean, the realm of
Yes.
Carcery and a wound of Carcery.
Yeah, why
There
not
could be
open
some
another
connection.
portal? Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's
Well, we
spawn
have
some more
plenty of
monsters.
monks here to help us fight off
Right.
an incursion.
Yeah, right. A whole nother dimension. That's a good
As
idea.
you all kind of look over and see Ankala like keeping Katya on her feet, a bit.
Everything's fine.
Wizard
All right.
puts the tuning fork away and says, "All right. I mean, you know."
Okay, let's start with a little magic aura, shall we? And Kieran's gonna do Aura of Life, to stabilize anyone that starts their turn at 0 hit points back to 1. So if something goes awry, I think it lasts for only 1 minute, but it could be 10.
10. It's 10.
Ooh, dope. All right, cool. And it also gives us resistance to necrotic damage if that matters at any point.
Yes.
And then he's going to start with a simple remove curse spell
Okay.
to see if this is any curse at work.
So I will say, give me, while you cast this, 2 things. Give me an Arcana check or religion, and tell me what it looks like when you cast it.
So we're gonna go with religion.
Got it.
Thank you. And so Kieran will, with 2 hands, because he has those now,
Mm-hmm.
plant his staff down, and I imagine it's like a 23, nice, like an instrument, like around like a surgery table almost, where he plants it, the top lights up and emits this aura, and then he walks over to the other side where Katya was before, and maybe pulls up the seat and sits down next to
Parthiel.
Farthiel. And then he's going to like outline the wounds with the green, the blackened with the green veins. And as he's doing it, as he's doing like these shapes, he's going to start casting the spell remove curse, to see if there's any kind of curse lingering in it that's
So,
affecting.
with that religion check, 23s, right? Yeah, okay.
I believe so.
So there is a curse affecting it.
Dope.
But the spell is not removing it.
Not dope.
Partially because it's too strong, but also partially it's not exactly how remove curse works.
Right.
I know we've played it that way though. So
Well, no, we've done it to spell magic. That was, I guess,
true. We have
me.
But I will say, the remove curse spell, in this sense, I'm using as kind of like an identify curse more so.
Right.
Because it makes sense to me that you can cast the spell. It can help you identify curses as well that aren't like magical item curses.
Right.
So as the glow of your staff emanates over this in your hands, do the required somatic runes, you would notice the light does reveal etchings on the flesh that represent the curse. They look like these sharp lines. They are... They remind you of runes you've seen before a very long time ago. For visual reference, they look like what is it? It's I don't know how to pronounce it. Let me get it right. I'm not gonna get it right. I'm just gonna say it. Ogom runes, which are old Celtic runes that are mostly like different. They look like sharp lines that are drawn together that create script. You've seen them in 2 places before. You've seen them in Magicset on some of the standing stones, and you saw them in the crypt in Magin set where you dealt with the first stranger in yellow. You saw them on that tree, that calcified tree in that one chamber.
In Magin set or outside of it in the burrows?
Outside of Magin set, the barrows, in the barrows.
Okay, the barrows, sorry.
Yeah.
Do my companions see these runes as well?
Yeah, I'd say it's being illuminated by your staff, so everyone will
Okay.
be able to see them.
Is there a change in
Have I
Farthio?
ever seen runes like this before?
Wiswick, you'd have only seen them in the same places. Farthiel, because of the Aura of Life, Farthiel does seem better. Like, his breathing starts to almost settle. He's not as hoarse. It does seem to create a stronger resistance from him to the infection because of the resistance to necrotic damage. It's also keeping him from dying, essentially, the aura. So it's like stabilizing him for these 10 minutes, essentially. It's not advancing for these 10 minutes.
So
And it would be a
pointing them
noticeable
out-
change for you, Katya, as you're watching. Like, he would seem like he's having less of a hard time. There'd be less sweat on his brow. There'd be more... His face wouldn't be so pale. Generally speaking, he's looking better.
At any sign of like regressing back to the state that she found him in, I have something I want to say, but only if he reverts.
It's not going to happen for 10 minutes. So,
not
Kiran,
gonna
you see
happen.
this. Timber and Wiswick, you would also see these runes since you are close enough to be examining, especially now that Katya's been pulled back. You can get a closer look. Go ahead, Kiran. It is a
See
curse, by
here,
the
these-
way. It is definitely a curse.
Yes. These runes, they're reminiscent of the ones we saw back in Magin set, druidic in nature. It's definitely a curse that ails him. But just what kind and how to remove it, well, there's still some work to be done.
Sean, can I use my lore master trait to pull prodigious memory to, as a bonus action, pull one spell that's not on my spell list for the day and use it, and I'm going to cast comprehend languages to try and identify those runes.
Excellent use of that spell. So essentially, like, as you cast this, you would all see Wiswick's eyes light up the same color as his arcane core as he starts to make sense of these runes. Now, I'll give you kind of like the literal meaning of the runes, and essentially like kind of the idea behind the curse is that what you're largely getting from it is that this is a mark. A marking that's meant to draw and attract like magic to the mark. In essence, you can think of it as like those kind of that trope of the idea of a dark mark that, like, once it's on someone, creatures can hunt it that have
Berserk.
like-mindedness. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Which might also explain why it hasn't killed him yet.
Right, but there's nothing in those runes that are particularly lethal in nature. It's just whatever it brings.
Exactly. It's almost as if the curse is, because it's confusing at first, Wiswick, because the runes are giving you these very literal translations that are like nonsense at first, but then you're with the ability, the spell, you're able to put them together, identify the magic with it, and it is meant to fatally wound someone, but keep them alive longer than they would in order for other things to track them. You can think of it as like, hey, let's wound that deer, and it'll run away, and we'll chase it, or we'll stalk it, and maybe eventually it'll join other deer, And when it's with other deer, licking its wounds will come and kill all of the deer and have a feast.
That's sadistic. How dare you?
If this is more of a arcane curse, now that I've identified it, would you consider it more, or would I consider it more of a magical thing, or I mean, like, would something like Dispel Magic work on this? I don't know. Or
It could.
Is there any?
It is. You can definitely identify that it is magic, in the sense that Dispel Magic's sense of magic. It's more in the divine area than the arcane area. But still, divine magic is dispellable as well.
Right. These runes, are they on the wound itself, or I'm sorry, I didn't follow that.
Yes, they kind of radiate off of the wound in the same way the green radiates off of it, almost like it matches it. Wisbit, give me one more Arcana check to see if you can glean any more from the actual written text.
Okay. I have this like stupid idea in my head that, okay, well, this is terrible. I got a 15.
There's a portion of the text that you're having trouble translating, even with the spell comprehend languages. In the sense, these runes, their literal translations are almost like poetry and incantations that sometimes don't make sense to you, while other ones you're able to glean the purpose behind. So you can glean the marking, you can glean the hunting, the tracking. There's a section you can't glean.
If I were to try to like, I've had a lot of experience with the carcery magic in the past.
That's true.
If I were allowed, I mean, this is going way deep into it. If I use my arcane adjustment to make my magic similar to the carcery magic, and then cast Bestow Curse on him, and use my curse to modify the pre-existing curse with the same magic, and change one of the arcane runes or glyphs to mean something else that is maybe less lethal.
I really like this idea. I really like this idea.
I'm playing on thin ice, I know.
But you are playing on thin ice, yeah. What I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna do a d20 roll for changing the glyph.
Okay.
Now, is Wiswick doing this just without saying anything to anyone?
I will.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna resolve this. I'm not gonna resolve
course.
this before you all see it happening, of course.
Right.
But what you see is Wiswick is starting to. You see Wiswick. You've seen him use comprehend language before. You see him doing that. He's analyzing it. You do start to see him triggering some other verbal, somatic, and component things. You know he's about to do something without telling any of you.
Wiswick, what are you doing? What do the runes say?
You're murdering Wiswick.
Are you
And
just?
very
Are you just?
unlikely.
Faster. I'm just casting faster.
The two of you, is there anything you'd like to do?
I think Kieran is going to believe in the better judgment of Wiswick and give him this chance to either A, ruin things even much more than they already are, or B, save the day. And I'm really hoping for the latter.
Yeah, Timber's gonna wide-eyed, like
Kieran's just watching, because he also has the R up, so he can't, he can die, but he can't die.
Wiswick, you make an Arcana check.
All right, come on, Arcana, don't fail me now. This one I might actually use a luck point on. Hell yeah, I'm using a luck point. I've been rolling 2s and 3s all night.
Maybe if he had some assistance from someone. Maybe if he just asked for a little help.
Can I use 2 luck points?
You
You
can.
can use as many. You can use all your luck points if you want.
Well, I pretty much only have 1 left, so here we go, boys.
How do you only have one left?
And girls.
Nat 20!
Non-binary thing.
There we go.
Wow!
Uh,
You're at
for the folks
13
at home,
modifier?
I rolled a hold on. I rolled a 2, and then I rolled a 7, and then the nat 20.
And what's your modifier? Plus 13?
Plus 13, making it a 33.
I will say, Wiswick, you properly used those. You properly used those luck points. Because
Yes.
those other 2 would not have ended well. You pretty much had to get a nat 20 on this. Because I had set it up to essentially be like 20 to 30, or natural 20 to 30 with modifier was essentially goes off without a hitch, and then below
A
that
DC
had some-
30.
essentially, yeah, a DC, well, realistically a DC 33, but you perform some precision magic that you've never done before. Like, you are on a hunch doing magic that no contemporary wizard has ever done before. It doesn't necessarily mean no wizard has, but this is not part of the books. This is not part of the universities. Like, no contemporary wizard on the entire world of Aradun has done this type of magic before. To look at
his uncle.
Not even his uncle. To take cursed script and like gene splicing, remove some to add new curse. What is the new curse that you are bestowing upon this, and what section are you removing? So I've described a few sections here. I'll give you like a more clear cut of it. There's the tracking part. There's the mark part. There's the life-sustaining part. There's the necrosis part, and then there's the mystery part that you don't know what is.
Oh, well, I can't touch the mystery part because, like, it's like diffusing a bomb. If you hit the wrong thing, you're gonna cause problems.
It's the wire that's like, oh, there's a red and a blue wire, and there's a green wire.
Yeah, and the guy on the other end is like, "Don't touch the green wire.
It's not in the manual."
Oh my god. So.
It's a lot of pressure.
I have to imagine that like Wiswick has just got his fingers like a marionette over these runes, and Charm's like, Wiswick, what are you doing?
You see,
Wiswick, what are you doing?
You see little, like, exactly like that, like, almost like green puppet strings come down from his fingers, and they attach to some of these Ogom runes, and you see them changing, where he's bending and twisting them into, I imagine, Zvirfneblin, or to bestow its own effect to this.
I think what I want to do is I'm going to change the mark part of it, and I'm assuming it was like something like mark him for the duration of the curse or something like that, and then because I'm assuming if I get rid of the mark, it'll eliminate a lot of the other problems. It won't eliminate the problem, but it'll transfer
what I'll
it
say
to
is
something else.
whatever you change on here has an outcome that will happen.
Right.
Will affect
so basically, I want to change mark into. I kind of just want to erase mark, where it's at the point where it's just gonna if this curse is going to go off, it's gonna go off without a target. Like it's just gonna explode or something like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, or if I could direct the mark towards an object or something in the room. Like maybe I just transfer it into the bed or a wall. I don't know.
So to make this a little bit more not abstract, but a little bit more amenable to the idea of what you're doing. Would you say use a verb, just one verb? Are you trying to transfer the mark? Is that the verb you would use, or is there a different verb you would use for what you're trying to do to the mark? Erase, you could do erase.
Yeah, I'd say transfer is probably what I would want to do.
Okay. You watch as Wiswick starts to manipulate this. You all see as Curon's spell is holding this, where the Ogom Runes radiate off. There's a whole section.
Can I use release? Is release a better word?
That's fine. Honestly, whatever word you want to do.
Release is better than transfer.
Because all right, release. You see as this section is changed entirely to the Zvirfneblin script. The curse remains, but a whole section of it has changed fundamentally. You're uncertain, though, what that outcome creates. But
Wiswick?
as far as you know, Wiswick, the tracking, sort of the mark, he's not marked anymore. He is still cursed, but he is not marked.
Wiswick, what did you just do?
Listen, you're gonna have to, not interrupt me. You know, normally I start saying things that you're not really happy with, and then you yell at me for a long time, and then I never get my point across.
That's more Kaze over there. I like to think I listen, and then...
Okay, tell
Pass
Kaze to shut
judgment.
up, and then I'll tell you.
Curon just looks at Timber, and is just kind of like, let's hear him out.
Oh no, Timber's just drinking. He's just giving up.
Turning his gaze to Wiswick, Curon steeples his fingers on the edge of the bed and just stares at him.
So, I'm the master of, magics, and I control all weaves of power, and
So you told me when we first met. Yeah?
Mm-hmm, exactly, and I really put my expertise to work here. I think I did a really bang-up job, honestly. I don't think you could find anybody who could pull this crap off. You're lucky we didn't all end up cursed. But...
What?
I've altered the curse using my own curse. I was able to identify parts of the curse that already pre-existed on him and modify it with my own magics that have been converted into a cursory script in order to, change the effects of it. I don't really understand what the far-reaching effects of this change might be, but it should be for the better, considering that I released the mark that was bound to him on the curse.
Huron, if you were, or anyone who's looking down, you would see that section of the curse does shift back to the Ogom Runes, but it has a flair to it, almost a cursive to it, that is the Zvirfneblin, almost dialect to the script that has been added there. But it does seem to almost, to the trained eye, you'd notice this is different. The untrained eye, it looks like it just blended in with the rest of the script. Essentially meaning, for lack of a better way to put it, the curse accepted the modification instead of rejecting it, kind of like a transplant.
So could you at least tell us, or at least Curon, because I don't know what this is.
Essentially, it had an effect of tracking, and I've removed that effect. So whatever was cursing, or I've released the tracking, so whatever was, hunting him down with this mark, it can no longer find it.
But you replaced it with a different curse.
Yeah, a good one. One that's not gonna kill him. Well, I guess
How do you know
parts
that?
of the curse are killing
How do
him.
you know that?
Because I'm the master of magics. Did you
Wait.
not see how cool I was back there?
Wait, what are the other curse effects? If you know them now.
Well,
I'll remind
I
you,
didn't...
it's
Yep.
life preserving until found, essentially. Life preserving, you hit the mark, which you got rid of. The tracking is technically still there, but he's not marked. For lack of a better way to put it, essentially means like they can't specifically track him, but they would know if they were close by, they would be able to like sense the magic still, but they can't from great distance track him because the mark is not. It's essentially losing north. For those that might be tracking it. So there's the tracking itself, the mark, the life preserving, and then the mystery mark.
Sounds like I picked the wrong one. But I relay that information. There was no necrotic and like death ones, right? Or was there? Yeah, whatever.
So,
I think his headphones
Phones
died.
died.
There was one
Right.
that was like actively.
Oh yeah,
dealing
sorry,
damage to him.
the actual necrosis one that was dealing the actual damage to him. Yes.
So no effect changed on the curse.
No,
Like-
the only effect that essentially you've muted the mark. So like you can almost see like the core script around the wounds themselves is turned to your script. Well, the exterior script that we're modifying it stay the same. So it's got a complicated reaction that you're not 100% certain how it would ultimately play out. All you know is if something was trying to using this curse to scry essentially or to track, they can't anymore. It would only be through proximity that they would be able to identify that this creature had any radiation of this magic. Because it's essentially a two-part thing. The tracking part of the curse creates the beacon, and the mark allows the trackers to pinpoint the beacon. And you've removed the pinpointing aspect of the tracking.
So you're
So
telling
they
me
can only like sense a general area.
Exactly. They essentially, if they were close by, they'd be able to sense it a little bit, but they wouldn't be able to pinpoint who is marked or pinpoint. Right. So essentially, like if they were right outside this room, they'd have no idea who's marked in here, but they know that the magic is inside that room.
Looks like a metal
pretty
detector.
Pretty much what I'm trying to say is something very powerful from Carcery cursed this guy, and you know they did a bang up job. Like there's multiple effects in there. It was a very complicated procedure, and unfortunately I couldn't do more to save him from this curse, but I at least made sure that whatever was hunting him is going to have a harder time finding this place, and an even harder time if we move him and get him out of here.
Didn't you just say that you were the most powerful wizard in the world? And you, looking at Kieran, you brought me back from the dead. Why is this taking so long?
So do you want to kill him? And then
Katya!
bring him back?
Katya! You know this is not helping. And she grabs the bottle from your hands and drags you across the room, essentially, towards the door.
Trouble.
Stand up straight. You're a kobold hunter, not a drunk in the swamp. Look at me. How does this help your eternity?
Need hope, Huntress.
Hope
Within eternity lies hope.
within ourselves lies hope. not the bottle.
That's where I find it, because I don't have much left. And I grab it back.
Then you should not be a kobold hunter. And she walks past you.
That was
That
kind of
hurt.
harsh.
It
Katya,
was well deserved.
She knows her disciplines. Grief will twist those. And she looks back to you. And Toxin more so.
Look, I know you don't like to get rid of your own, but this man right here is going to put a big target on your monastery. I highly recommend you remove him if we cannot remove the curse.
We should take him to the oasis.
We're
That is
not
the
done
place that he
yet.
should go.
There's still magic of Ilivanya to be done here. Now, Wiswick, you said there were different sections of a curse involved in this, correct? Which
Yes.
one is the necrotic energies that is slowly leeching this poor man's life force?
You could easily point it out.
it's the squiggly one over there.
Okay. Do you think it would be possible, through your guidance, of course, Wiswick, for me to dispel the magic specifically to this necrotic energy, so that maybe it's an easier roll?
Can I assist him with a back rub?
Can we stack as many benefits as we can?
What exactly are you doing right now to try to reduce the DC? I guess what you can attempt to do whatever you want Wiswick to help you with. You can attempt.
So I could dispel the curse altogether with dispel magic. That's going to be really hard.
That would be very hard. Yes.
That would be a natural 20 again, I'm assuming.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yes. If I something like that.
Something like that.
19 or 20. Okay, cool. If I dispel the magic of just one part of the curse, would that basically lower the DC?
It would be, I'd say, with Wiswick's help, it would lower the DC because he's the one who has kind of like an intricate knowledge of where these connect and whatnot. And as if he were to help you, yes, I would say it would lower the DC to try to remove part of the curse as opposed to the whole intricate piece.
Right. Well, so
before Wiswick helps you with anything, he says, "All right, but this is an extremely risky thing you're trying to do. There's still parts that could not be deciphered with my extensive knowledge and magics, which means that if it fails, we don't know what's gonna happen. It might kill him instantly. It might curse all of us in the room for all we know."
So would you suggest trying to dispel the curse in its entirety after your handiwork that you just did? Or to dispel the most dangerous / harmful elements of it?
Well, if you were to try to dispel the entire curse, I have to imagine that it would be harder, but the repercussions from failure would be less than if you were to try and, dissect it to a specific portion. Does that make sense, Sean?
I mean, essentially what you're getting at is it's harder and it's easier in one sense and harder in another sense. Essentially, where it's the whole curse, it's a grand effort that if it fails, it fails, and the whole curse is there. Dissecting one piece, this is the way I'll put it. The DC's lower for dissecting one piece. The repercussions on a failure is higher.
Sweet. Okay, perfect. I understood.
I'll defer to your judgment, Wiswick. You know this better than me.
If I believe that I got rid of the most dangerous part of the curse, for us
I would
at
say the
least,
most dangerous
if-
part is the part that's killing him slowly.
but there is a part of it that is prolonging his life. I don't know how strong he is. I don't know if your magics can hold him, but if we can keep him alive for enough time for me to rest and regain my strength, we could possibly attempt this at a later date to try and save his life and get rid of the necrotic specifically.
Looking at this individual, recalling what he looked like when I first walked in, do we have another day to perform this kind of magical surgery, as it were?
I would say honestly at that point, Nkala would be able to chime in and say, the diviners said there was some time. They did say that within a week he would pass, but they were uncertain. They just said that his time would come soon.
I don't know what the right choice is. Honestly, there's too many variables. I don't know if my changes might have, escalated that time frame. Maybe it could have even empowered the other effects because I removed one aspect. It's very hard to say. I if you think that you can do it, Kieran, I've got your back, but if it were me, I would try again tomorrow when we're fully prepared and we have I have all of my magical capabilities handy.
Okay, I'm gonna just gonna dispel magic then on the whole thing. If I upcast dispel magic, even though like I'm gonna have to hit a DC, does that do anything? I feel like I've asked this before, and I apologize.
The only thing that upcasting Dispel Magic does is if the spell on it is that level or lower,
okay.
It gets rid of it. Yeah.
Okay, so 3rd level Dispel Magic, little guidance beforehand. Kieran goes, please, Crescent Heart, if you could help me out here, I really want to impress my new friends.
Give me the D20 roll for.
Do we get a D4 as well?
And the D4, yeah.
Yeah.
You get.
And then I add my.
And you add your wisdom.
All right, so that total is. Sorry, I just brain farted real hard. It's 22.
So, as you cast this spell, you can see. I mean, what does it look like when you're dispelling this or trying to dispel this?
So I imagine at this point, Kieran will stand up, leaning over the body of. Is he a half orc?
Half orc, yes.
Yes, over the body of the half orc. He spreads his arms and he starts like tracing over the runes, and his hands like small like discs of purpley silvery energy comes, and he kind of like floats it over the runes and like almost like tries to like lift them off to like suck them up into these discs and remove them from the flesh.
Huron, or I guess Alex, roll me a d4.
This is fun.
So essentially what I did there is you didn't meet the DC, but you were within the field of effect. So it was randomized, which result you removed.
Okay.
And
Get 1.
You've lucked out that you got the necrosis.
Oh.
It was 1 necrosis 2 tracking, 3 mystery, and 4 was
no.
the life sustaining. So if you rolled a 4, you would have killed him. Or at least you
Thanks
would
for
have
not
died
rolling a
much
4.
quicker.
Right.
But you watch as this exactly as you described it happens, and you watch as a whole sect of script kind of peels off and floats in the air spectrally and then dissipates away. And as it dissipates away, you notice that blackened necrosis begins to fade. The wound, because it still has life-preserving nature, doesn't begin to bleed abruptly, but life seems to return to the body. And it would be susceptible to healing. Where it once wasn't.
Which rune was that?
You got it! That was the one! You picked it out!
It wasn't me, my friend. It was the Crescent Heart's guidance.
I mean, I'd say it was mostly me, but yeah, Crescent Heart, sure.
You did
Was it-
help quite a bit.
It wasn't my back rub.
Oh,
I
it's
do
a very
appreciate
good
the back
back rub.
rubs. Yep, no, thanks a lot.
I imagine Timber's just like leaning in between the two of them, like watching our work as he's just like rubbing our backs. Claws digging in.
They're very sharp.
I need art. We need art.
That would look
So
be
funny.
like a nice like cartoon of that.
Yeah,
Of just like this
that would
big
be awesome.
werewolf being a pupper really and just being like, you got this.
Love that.
Wow,
So
I'm
upon
so proud of you. Sorry.
upon removing the necrotic element of the curse, Kiran will strain his back a little, hold his hands out over the wounds, and cast Heal, the 6th level spell.
Okay. Katya and Kala left you, and you kind of imagine we're still. What did you do after that? Were you slumped against the wall? Did you approach? Did you? What was your reaction? Because I mean, it was only a few moments ago, but still.
Yeah. I'm brooding in the corner.
As
No,
you're back.
I
Scarlet's back.
Yeah, no, I like that really hurt when she said you shouldn't be a cobalt hunter. So she's kind of like she's holding the bottle, but she hasn't taken a drink since she snatched it back, and she's just staring at the ground. But I guess if there's like a light that appears or something that catches her attention, she would just look up.
Okay.
Roswick screaming, "You did it!"
Yeah,
That.
Kiran,
I'll do it.
what does your heal look like? I will say it does seal the wounds. They are scarred, but they do all seal.
I imagine starting from his hands and emanating through his body, almost like he's like drawing strength from the staff of the Crescent Heart planted across the bed from him. He starts to radiate this silvery, twilight almost essence that like just like silhouettes his entire body, and then it just passes in a line from his connected palms down into
Barthiel.
Barthiel.
Barthiel. I have it spelled so many different ways.
I'll put it in the chat for you.
I can't look at the chat.
Well,
Because he's on.
Farthiel.
Fartiel.
Far. I'm gonna put an apostrophe after the
Don't
far.
you
That'll remind me. So the magic, it starts in like a little beam emanating from his palms, and then it like rushes as the light all leaves Kiran's body into this beam of light, entering into Farthiel's body, casting him in total like radiant twilight light. That then I imagine like kind of settles as the body is, brought back with, colors back to his cheeks. The wounds are closed with minimal scarring. So it is a heal spell.
True. That is true. That's a good point. So,
And then Kiran probably leans against the bed, just exhausted
you
from doing that.
You see exactly as Stefan explained it. You see the dim fire that was the only light before seems to dim further, as the only light in the room seems to be this silvery light. Katya, that, the camera, I imagine, is got, looking past Katya. She's dirty in frame, and then Rack focuses to her as this light goes, and then cuts to a close-up of Farthiel, and you hear all together a free breath.
As soon as she hears that, to the bedside, drops the bottle.
Huron puts his arm up to hold her back so she doesn't rush this poor man. He
Wiswick
goes,
takes the
patience,
Did it work?
give it
Is
a
he okay?
moment. Please.
You can see now, as you get up next to him and he's holding you back, you can see the spell actively sealing the wounds. As you can see, like some of the like wrappings fall off, as like what was holding them there was like the blood, really, that's now dissipating into the silvery light, and you can see like it looks like that like 3D printed stitching is happening over these wounds, that then leaves these scars that are not, they're very minimal, and they glitter a silver light. The scar is as thin as it can be, almost like a lightning bolt on there, of silver light, where each of these thrashings were. As another breath comes in. He's still unconscious. But he's completely stabilized and healed. The staff does show that the mystery mark is still there. The tracking is still there. Curiously enough, the life-sustaining part is still there. And of course, Wiswick's script that is really just nullifying another part.
I'll sink into the chair that I was in. And just, her shoulders had been like up here, so tense, and you just see him drop with relief.
Huron walks around to his staff and breaks concentration to drop Aura of Life, dimming the room again, I imagine. And then just across the bed, looking down at Katya, goes, "A little patience never hurt anyone. I hope he awakes all right." With that, he shuffles on out.
Wiswick stays near him, now drinking Katya's drink, and it's like,
real gross. It's like vinegary wine and sour.
Ugh.
I mean, Wiswick might like it. I don't know.
He does like hard liquor. He's just like, this is different, and starts drinking it. I mean, I kind of just like am like leaning back, but like sort of consoling Katya, like, yeah, the worst of it's over. Me and Huron did a good job. He's still gonna have some after effects. We don't know if he's through the woods yet, but he's gonna be much better now that we did it. Bang up job, Huron. And I like give him a little toast before he leaves.
All with your help, my gnomish friend.
I don't know that either of you will hear it, because Katya's still pretty drunk, but she'll say under her breath, "Thank you."
Does my passive perception of 28 hear it?
I think you'll hear it. You hear it right as you're in the frame of the doorway.
Yeah.
You hear it.
He pauses for a moment, a small smile crosses his face, and he continues to walk out.
Okay. Inkala will sit across from Katya on the other side of the bed. She collapses into the chair. Katya, this is the first time you see her shoulders also relax. And kind of maybe the first time you've ever seen that.
Ever, yeah.
As your mentor. She's relaxed before, obviously, but not in your presence.
Is everybody else gone?
I think Wiswick's maybe the only one who stayed around.
Yeah, I imagine Wiswick is sticking around. Maybe are you observing the body or anything like that? Observing the.
Yeah, if anybody asks, Wiswick's essentially there to make sure that nothing goes wrong and
Okay.
kind of just wants to be eyes on the body while this uncertain time is like occurring.
Yeah, because I mean, it's still not. He's not dying, and he can't be specifically tracked, but he is still a beacon for something.
All right. Well, Katya's gonna just ignore Wiswick for right now. She's staring at Farthiel's face, but she's talking to Ankala. And she just says, I have given my life to the Order. I gave everything to become a Cobalt Hunter. There is no respect in that title anymore, and I cannot bear the pain that brings. And she'll reach down and pick up something, just even if there's nothing in it, just to have something in her hands.
A bottle.
A bottle. Yep. I don't want to feel it. And I don't want to feel the loss. Ever.
Ankala would look towards you. She would not look to Farthiel. She would look directly at you.
I'm still looking at Farthiel.
The devoted life is not easy. But we should find comfort in our way, in the disciplines. To wander and know all places and their peoples.
And I do that, and I enjoy that. I like that about being a hunter.
To hunt and hunt that which would see such places and their peoples destroyed. To know the peace and joy created by such places and their peoples. Then life lies eternity, then the hunt lies grace. Then ourselves lie hope. And with these instruments we wander to sow peace and harvest serenity.
Finally looking up at her. I want that. I've tried in Nephrodola. No one cares anymore. And no one would care if Farthiel died. I cannot bear that pain.
Do you care?
Of course I do.
Then somebody cares. It is not about whether they care. It is not in the creed. It is not in the disciplines. It is not in the poetry. We exist to care, to know all peoples and their places and their peoples. And to know the peace and joy created by such places and their peoples. You know Farthiel. I knew Farthiel. We know Farthiel. Thanks to you knowing this Elysian and this Svirfneblin. Damugna put you in their path to save Arthia.
Here.
Now take that to meditate upon your relationship with eternity.
Yes, Hunters. I apologize for my behavior.
You do not need to apologize. Grief does terrible things even to the disciplined mind. Especially when poisoned. You see, she would stand up and go and pick up one of the bottles. And she'll finish it. She'll finish the dregs of it. And look at it. And kind of throw it. And it jingles against the stone. It is nothing. We seek to know the peace and joy. And we do. But you have known too much of this. Meditate on your relationship to eternity. And she'll leave you.
After she leaves, Katya will look at the bottle that she's holding, that I'm holding, and stare at it for a very long time. And occasionally just like looking back to Farthiel and back, just back and forth, back and forth. She'll take a deep breath and with a very shaky hand, I'm not going to actually do it because there's water in it. She'll drop it.
Okay.
I'll still have telekinesis, do I?
No. His Wiswick is just sort of like there, like, oh.
Oh, shucks. What a waste.
Okay. Huron and Timber, you ascend back up, and you find yourselves up in the firmaments. You would notice now your own carts and whatnot are out in the outskirts of the firmaments as they've lifted them up with the lifts. The Ardent Eye is no longer in the gardens, most likely inside. As you can see the night sky above you here. Stars, and Huron, you would even notice some of the travelers in the sky, the moons of Aradun and Vero. The light of the feasting hall is the only thing amongst the actual grounds guiding you as you approach.
Yeah.
The others, I imagine, will catch up at some point, but the two of you can go into the feasting hall if you'd like.
While we're walking, Kiran, that wound, that, I don't know if it's a good idea for that man to still be in this monastery. I don't know, for tracking like that, that looked like one clean swipe, and it applied that many curses to this man. And the fact that they let him live on the brink of death to come back here for even more people to feast on, well, there's something much worse going to happen if he stays.
I agree. In my head, we have but two real options. There is a third, but one I'd rather not entertain. One is to leave the man here and let the monastery know what's coming for them and what it's capable of. Or two, to bring the man into the oasis with us and see if the magics of Ilivanya there will be strong enough to fully purge him of the curse.
No. Okay.
If we bring him with us, whatever injured
Then-
him is in the fields of glass.
Right.
And we
but-
just may be bringing the beacon closer to be found ourselves.
Right. Do we want to do that? I don't advise it. There's a reason why we chose the safer route.
Yes. But new elements have been added to the equation. I think speaking with the Ardent Eye might give us some more insight into this. A diviner of his magnitude. Well, I don't know if he was the one who claimed. Sorry, one second. The battle cam got really loud. I don't know if he was the one that divined Farthiel's ultimate demise. But he may have some insight to the future. He might be able to tell us what our best option is with his divine, is what I'm trying to say.
I understood your gist. Yes, that makes
Okay.
sense. Another thing is,
Yes.
so if these are from Carcery, and I'm gonna circle back here and say that Lou is also corrupted by Harbinger.
Yes.
Cal's wound. Any relation?
As I recall, Cal's room did not have the blackening or the green veins, did it?
It had effects to it. It didn't have
Right.
it didn't have the green veins. Definitely didn't have the green veins. But it did have similar symptoms, so to speak, in the sense of not
Right.
healing, but also not necessarily outright killing. Some necrosis, but it didn't have the green veins of Carcery on it.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I can see some similarities in the symptoms and that the wounds didn't heal, but that could just be any cursed wounds inflicted by a corrupted god such as Lu. It's usually the green that denotes a connection to Kosri, at least in our experiences. I wonder how he's doing.
Lou?
No, Cow. But I guess yes, a little bit
Oh.
Lu too.
Maybe we should. I think you should at least message him. Maybe see how the war is going. You know.
Yes, of course, because the moment he got better, he would have upped right back to the front.
Right. Even though he was sent home.
Right. Well, he finished his mission in escorting the general or the
Governor.
governor.
And now
To
he's here with
Demacia.
us. You know.
Yes.
Not where he was told to go.
Funny the way it is when you think about it.
Right. Anywho.
Shall we enter the hall, or is there anything else?
No. That's it for now. I'm thinking that maybe we should try to talk to Lou at some point. Not now. He might have good. He's a wolf of 2 words, but maybe we could draw something out of him. Or this is what I'm thinking: is pit his hatred in a different direction.
I can't even begin to imagine what goes on in the machinations of a corrupted Fey guardian. But we'll think on it, and when you think the time is right, we'll work on that.
There's not much thinking. Trust me, the conversations I've had they're not intellectual.
No, I imagine not.
He hasn't even engaged in small talk. Not even anything about the weather.
And
Anyway,
he's
let's
existed
go
in your
inside.
body for how long?
only showing you horrible fields of corpses that you and your order have killed, and showing you images of you eating your own children, and showing you
Yeah.
images of blood-soaked fields. It's not intellectual. It's
Yeah,
It's
no,
just-
Timber's not going there.
it's just cruelty.
Timber's not going there to Kieran.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
like,
no. This is not Timber's time to be like,
yeah, no, he's just gonna reach in his pocket, grab another drink, and
I
then continue
figured
on
as
the way.
much.
Seeing that from the corner of his eye, Kieran goes, all three of you have a serious problem. And he walks
Oh.
a little quicker into
I
the,
know.
to the hall.
Why do you think I'm coming with you?
Before we enter into the hall, and before your friends join you, I know we already took a short break, but I think I'm going to have us take another very short break, because I have to use the bathroom.
No.
Before we go to the latter half, the last bit of tonight's session. So we will be back very shortly, probably in 2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3.
Stick around, folks. We'll be back very
Stick around.
shortly. My name
Be
is
short.
Stefan, and
My name is Sean.
I like cheeseburgers.
And I like fleas burgers.
Please,
see you soon.
flea burger.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us through a short break. We are jumping back in. Wiswick and Katya are still down with Farthiel's now semi-decursed body. Kala is heading back up, while Timber and Curon are entering into the Firmament Temple. Curon and Timber.
That's us.
Hey.
When you enter into the Firmament Temple, it is alive with life and joy and happiness. There is fast-paced music playing. There is mounds of food being delivered around, as all of the diviners really are here now. And sitting at the different tables, they've got all manner of food set up. You can spy immediately the Cobalt Huntress at a table, and you can see there's some space around her, and you can see plates for each of you with the food she promised to prepare for you. Some lightly seared pile of meats for Timber. A vegetarian option for Curon, which looks like a salad of sorts, with all manner of veggies from their local garden in there as well. You've got shredded carrots, you've got some spinach, you've got some romaine, you've got some, I don't know, other roots that they can grow up here. Some ginger, cut up in strips, with some kind of dressing on there, I imagine. You also see a smattering of all manner of things, meats, a lot of mushrooms, and other things.
Potatoes.
For Wiswick.
Cacti.
But the room is alight with laughter and joy, and people are cheersing, and it's not like while it has a feasting vibe to it, there's no what you're used to when you go to feasts, which is some dais where there's a lord up there, that this is all for. This is just a dinner, and how dinner is here. So what would the two of you like to do?
Kiran, did you ever dance?
It was tradition
Lucia?
for my people, the ancient dances of Ilivanya. It's a type of meditative prayer that translate into use of the quarterstaff and glaive clerics of my order tend to use.
Did you
This
do
was
anything?
written in my backstory. A long time
Marvelous
ago.
night for moon dance.
Did you ever do anything not related to Ilivanya? Think deep about this one.
I think my very existence is related to Her Holiness, so no.
I like to imagine
you ever,
that
like-
Ron just had a flashback to a bunch of teenage Elysians inviting him to go to a party, and then being like, "No, I gotta go study Ilivanya's texts."
No, I need to go sweep out the vestibule.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, like, a significant other? Girlfriend, boyfriend,
Well, I had friends that were both male and female.
No, but like more like intimate,
Like family?
Maybe this isn't the type. Kiran, how old are you?
Well, I mean, depends how you count years, but at this point, 872.
And please don't take any
Give or
offense for me saying this, but how long do Elysian elves usually live for?
Our longest lived are up to 1,000 years, but between 900 and 1,000, I think, right, Sean?
Yeah, give or take, around 1,000.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I guess we have some time for you to grow up.
Grow up.
I
Excuse me.
think that Ilivanya will want you to explore what Curon needs without her. Anyway, let's go.
Confused
Oh my God.
and a little, but Kiran just goes, I don't think there is a Kiran with a Ilivanya.
This is literally, of all the times I've played D&D with Alex, this is the second time his RP has led to a sex talk.
So true.
I was on the other end the other time.
You were.
You were.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Well done, both of you.
But anyway, the two of you proceed into this chamber. Curon, I imagine, with your perception, would pick up immediately the Ardent Eye sitting off in the corner with other diviners. He would spot you also. Kind of like you both got really high passive perceptions. And you, once again, I think you make eye contact with him. He would raise a cup up to you as you pass by to go and sit where you please. If you'd like, you can. There is those plates set up for you with the Cobalt Hunter, if you would like, or the Ardent Hunter, if you'd like to sit with her.
Timber
Of course.
definitely smelled the meat.
Of course.
I will give myself high passive perception, even though I don't deserve it. But specifically for this.
You have high passive perception specifically and only for meat. You sit down and she's sitting there. You can see her spear is leaning against the table, and she, as you sit down, she kind of like, it seems like she's wakes up as you sit down, like she was napping in there. Just, oh, you've decided to show up for dinner. I have prepared what you said was your favorites. We created a medley from our gardens for you here on Isilestana.
Thank you, Ardent Huntress.
Why are you giving us such high welcome as guests here?
Well, is there a reason I shouldn't?
No, it's just usually there's some other motivation. Ulterior.
Motivations, yes. I've spent a long time here in Valir. Not as long as you, I presume, Kiran. But for most of my life, which is several lifetimes of man and gnome and most, I have followed the tenets of the Muknad Kurbot Wanderer. To wander into all places and our peoples. But most importantly, to know peace and joy created by such places and their people. That is what sows peace, so that we can harvest serenity. I want to know everyone. Alas, I'm not long-lived enough to do so. But I would love to know all peoples, their cultures, and what makes them happy. That is why we welcome you. Luckily, if you were to betray us, we'd know. And she kind of points to the Ardent Eye.
Well, it would seem your diviners are not always so right. Excuse our tardiness, but we were down in the homes, the rooms, tending to one of your sick, the hunter Fathiel. And between myself and our deep gnome, Wiswick, we were able to heal him to a degree. Though, at some point after these festivities, I think we should speak with yourself and the Ardent Eye about the risk that one still poses to your monastery.
You and the Zvifneblin helped Joyce. That Zvifneblin, he is so charming. And charming.
Charming's one way to put it.
Very talented, very talented. He did indeed create my new favorite dessert. As well
Yes,
as
he is.
his skill in magic. But we, or at least the hunters, are overjoyed when the eyes are wrong. Because it means we can still seize our fates. I thank you for bringing such grace to the firmaments.
Of course. It is the will of Ilivanya that we should come here and help. And apparently the will of Damukna as well.
Ah,
The gods are aligned in their good deeds.
as most are when you act righteously for the sake and love of others. There tends to be a unification. It's only selfishness that bends the will of justice away from happiness and joy and peace.
Yes, I agree. The tenets you preach are very similar to those that Ilivanya preaches, though unfortunately the current state of worship by my people is a little more reserved in our welcomeness of others. I would wish to see Alicia with arms wide open, giving so much that we have to those in need out here. As you do, tucked away in your mountains here.
Yes. Thank you for all the gifts you bring, both healing and company.
Healing, and what was the last part? Sorry.
Company.
Oh. Oh, yes, of course. Always happy to give company where we can.
Do you have Timber like licking his fingers? Kieran, do you do excuse me? Do you have like a relic or of Dumukna that Kieran is a collector of symbols and relics and necklaces and such too for deities?
Well, yes, I suppose,
He
I do have...
appreciates along his journey.
Yes.
He's
I
very
have
humble and does not like to ask for it, but he'll.
No, Kaze, please, yes, well, those items that are highly infused with the powers of our deities are of great interest to me. If only because I know a great fight looms on the horizon, and we must have every advantage we can gather to fight the forces that are to come. But that's not... Please, no, I don't mean to upset the revelries here.
And you see she, reaches across the table. With one hand, she pulls a charm from her neck. And you notice around her neck are several chains with several teeth and bones of all the creatures she's hunted over her long, long years. She pulls one off at random, and she grabs your freshly grown hand. And as you're kind of awkwardly excusing yourself, and clasps her hand into it. The relics of Dumukna are only that which we find as we wander. And you have found your way here. Thus you found this. And she pulls her hand away. You see just like a simple fang on a chain with an iron band connecting the fang to the chain. It's probably a wolf fang. Dire wolf, perhaps, a mountain wolf, something. For all the gods you know, they are so far away. They call other places home, but the Mukna is chosen. Our home is her home. And she wanders across Aradun to help all.
The Mukna herself wanders across Aradun.
If the legends are right. Now you say Iladra or Ilivanya
Thank you.
will find you in your moments of need. You see some vision, you see some grace, light. Or say, what is the bloody god of the north? What is her name?
Zendario, the Everflame.
Zendaria. Flames from afar. Visions. No, with the Mukna, you're graced. No, she will be here. With you. To guide you. Home. Or beyond. There is no interloper. There is no medium. It is just Damu's grace.
Looking at the chain, and then up to the ardent huntress, Kieran goes, I hope she can lead us to victory, if she has seen the wars to come. But thank you, ardent huntress. I am humbled by your gift. Graciously accept it. And Kieran puts it on to dangle with his amulet of
Armag.
yes, thank you, Armag.
Excuse me. So we are traveling. We're going to be traveling in the Oasis. Is there any hunters that you could lend us to assist us in, I should say, guaranteeing our safety? We have Katya right now, and she's been fabulous help, but we fear that we may need more assistance for some monsters that are...
In your travels to the Oasis or in your hunting of Glass Titan?
Oh, right.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Well, don't really. It doesn't sound like we need to hunt the glass giant. We just need to pry a few scales off of it and then run away.
By hunting, I mean tracking. Yes, the creature is a moving mountain, really, but as you can see from your arrival, the fields of glass is hundreds and hundreds of miles of land. Set by storm and cloud, even a mountain can hide in these parts.
Perhaps maybe looks over at Kieran. Maybe Dumukna or Ilivanya can help us locate her, him, it. Maybe we don't need it, but
Where the hunters can help.
what is your
send hunters
price?
to track for the Glass Titan? But you must promise, if you are to harvest from the Glass Titan, that you will not disrupt it, that you will not harm it. Anything you fight, it is fought in defense, because it is its own environment, its own beauty, and will not tolerate slaying of the Glass Titan, though I do not believe you could, but responsibility for your harvest requires offering and respect.
I can guarantee respect for the creature. How do we offer to it?
If you are to kill anything of its environment, creatures that call it home, if they defend themselves, Katya will know the offerings and the rites.
So if we accidentally kill one of these creatures, we have to send it or do an offering for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Understood.
Simple enough. Of course, we shall bring honor to such a majestic titan that wanders the landscape.
So what is your price for hunters to assist us?
We must consult with the Ardent Eye before promising
course.
our hunters with you. For his visions can determine price. Because if you are to incur such damage to the world, the price may be higher. Or there may be no deal at all. He will know. He will see. But I can prepare hunters. There are not many here right now, but novices and teachers. But the teachers are skilled enough. And perhaps with your healing of Farthiel, he may be able to help. And Kala, with less concern on her mind, might be able to help. Even if we just have them track the creature for you, while you do your other business. As Katya leads you to the oases. We all know the way to the oases. That is what I can promise for now.
I think we find this most agreeable. Whatever you're willing to offer, of course. We are most gracious to accept your aid in this.
And thank you for this delicious food. Good God.
Yes.
I am
Rabbit
glad
only
that you
goes so
enjoyed.
far.
Ah, yes. Timber, you spot over by the doorway. You see, as the doors open, you see Gil and Rosen coming in, and you see trailing behind them is about a dozen salt flat weasels that some of them are like jumping onto their legs and latching onto it. As you see Gil and Rosen, like you see Gil just sort of like whips his hand as a salt flat weasel flies off of it and rolls onto the ground as they're like looking around for all of you desperately.
Timber calmly gets up and walks over and
The Ardent Hunter is once again slapping her knee, laughing at this. You picked up some friends, I see, on your journey here.
and he gets on both knees and goes, "Come on, come."
You see, they all rush towards you and climb up your arms and all up your shoulders. You see one just like climbs on your face up to the top of your head and just sort of like scrambles itself up there and nestles
Like
on
pull
your
an
brow.
eyelid, like
Yeah, like totally like just as all 12 of the salt flat weasels find a nestled nook or cling like koala bears onto your limbs.
He walks back over to the table and then just starts peeling some of the meat and feeding them one by one.
You see the cobalt huntress. She takes some of her own food and holds it up to the one on your head as it snaps it up. You've made some friends in the gap of glass.
I've got a soft spot for them. I don't know why.
He's very paternal.
Well, such respect for life. We can appreciate right here. Though those outside would see us as hunters of slayers of creatures. We mostly do so to preserve life. We will never slay anything without offering. We can offer, as I said, hunters for your task. And I will consult with the Ardent Eye. But enjoy the evening, and the food, the drink, the dancing.
Quickly, about those offerings. You say you offer after making a kill, correct?
Yes.
And how exactly do these offerings work? You just...
I think Katya might be able to teach us. I saw her doing it once before, I believe.
Right, with her tablet.
Yes. We all have offering tables. One must harvest what they can from the creature, all things. Anything of use. Take out the heart. You take your incense. You wash the tablet first. There must be no resin of the previous offer. You must be clean and ready to devote entirely to your hunt. And any charm or trophy, as one might say, must be brought to the table as well to be burned and sacrificed. The meditations done to honor, respect the spirit of the creature that will go to join the great spirit beyond. Of all things.
Make an offering.
If you have such to offer, we would be delighted to have you partake.
Kiran takes out his bag of holding and rummaging around in there with all his cursed and evil objects, takes out the two halves of the heart of Nerisol / the arbiter of Herfost. And just kind of like offers it up and kind of like shrugs a little.
You see she overjoyedly stands up and like she holds an arm across the table, not to grab your hand, but to like bring you across. Just come visit her. And as you move up, she would bring you up to the table. And you see she would kneel down and usher you to do the same. And you see she takes the cleaning stone and dunks it in the basin of water and begins to run it across the stone. As you can see, it begins to clean off any resin. She stops midway and hands it to you to do the same. As you do
Wipes
so.
it down.
You see she takes out a rag from the hip of her monk attire, the same kind of rag that you would have noticed Katya has, and she starts to wipe down the surface as she then takes out a portion of incense to lay there before taking a candle to light it. And familiar scent of incense comes as she gestures for you to present your offering.
Kiran places the two halves on the tablet.
And you see she takes from her hip again a small vial of flammable oils that she will then pour over the heart, and she will hand you the candle.
Nodding to her and doing a little quick look over his shoulder to see if the ardent eye is watching.
Of course he is.
Okay. It's almost like a little like, oh, are you watching me? Okay. Kiran puts the candle to the oiled heart.
You watch it. Takes a second, but it ignites.
Oh, and while he does that, he says, an offering from one god to another, Ilivanya to Demukna. let us join our peoples in this practice.
You see the heart ignites in flame, and you look over and you see the ardent huntress, Helena Talizan, is kneeling there, and her jovial, smiling self seems to bow with a stoic face at your offering. She lays her spear at the side of the tablet and kneels with you, and grasping at one of her many charms, she would then grasp your hand with that and bow down at your offering as the smoke rises and the heart begins to singe. Eventually, a smile crosses her face. Welcome. We thank you for your offering and your respect.
It's the least I can do for who I hope to be stalwart allies in the times ahead.
Where there is need, and we are not far. If it is right, we will be there.
You know, there is always a need. And with that, Kieran gets up and he looks around like, where should I go? What should I do?
I imagine you notice Kaze like at the table being like, all right, buddy.
Go dancing.
Go talk to the ardent eye, is that what you said? Find out all the secrets?
The Ardent Eye is watching you if you'd like to go talk to them. But, Katya, what would you like to do? You're still down below. You can head up if you'd like. Wisbick, similarly, you're both still down below. What would you two like to do?
I think Wiswick would just be, like not drinking a lot, just like casually sitting with a bottle, just hanging out with his patient, and doesn't say anything for a long time. Until it gets a little bit later and he's thinking like the food's probably going cold. And he looks over to Katya and says, someone should be watching him, but neither of us are gonna be any use to the others if we don't get something in our bellies. Do you want to just leave them for a little while and grab some grub?
Yes, I think that is a good idea. And she doesn't say this, but just for story reasons, Katya feels an overwhelming need to be in the presence of the ardent huntress. For no reason at all. So she'll, I'll get up and I will go and kind of just like, put a hand to Farthiel's forehead. Be well, my friend. Oh, fuck. Oh, and just start. Okay, let's go before I can't walk up the stairs anymore.
Wiswick opens the door and Katya thinks she's opening it up for her, but in fact he's letting in 3 golems, which were outside, and they all have to walk into the room. They'll watch over him.
And you have a way of communicating with them?
Yeah, I have a telepathic link. As long as we don't get too far away, they'll let us know.
Okay.
They're pretty fast on their feet, too.
You see one of them absolutely falls into the table in the back as it walks in.
I mean, I've done that too, so.
Aw.
All right. Let's go.
So you begin to ascend from the steeps back to the firmament.
Yep.
As we're walking, I want to keep an I imagine my spear was just against the wall the entire time we were there, so I'm bringing it with me, and I want to just like pass an eye around to see if there's anything.
Give me a perception check.
I said eye, I meant ear.
That's fine as well.
22.
So you begin to ascend the many steps of the monastery as the steeps lead to the main stairs with the blue flags flanking it that leads up to the firmament. Katya. About halfway up to the firmament from there, you would feel an anomaly in the typical din of the falls below. Part of the purpose of the waterfalls that conceal this not just being beautiful landmarks, but also scares away most creatures, but also provides a background noise to discern differences in. You hear somewhere in the sky a strange beating of wings.
This week, I've just realized I forgot something in my abode. You go on ahead. I'll meet you there.
You sure? I mean, I could come with you. I'm sure it's not.
No, it's all right. It won't be long. I'll be right behind you.
Can I roll an insight check?
I'll allow it. Katya, you can give me a deception check.
Not really, because I think that she heard something, but because, you know,
Yeah.
she's been distraught all day and.
Exactly.
3.
Pretty sure
And
she
minus
said
2 charisma.
I rolled pretty good for not having any insight.
Yeah, well,
it's not that you like sense that she's malevolently lying, but she's just not being honest with you.
Yeah, Wiswick's gonna say sure, and then gonna sneakily follow her from behind.
of course you are.
Okay. Katya, what are you gonna do while you believe you are wandering away alone? As Wiswick, I imagine Wiswick starts to ascend the steps, and Wiswick, if you'd like, can give me a stealth check to follow her. What's
Nice.
your passive perception, Katya?
Pretty high. It's not that bad. Or 17.
Question is everything made out of stone here?
You're in the mountains.
Hell
So,
yeah.
and all the buildings are made of stone.
Here we go. Advantage. Oh, okay. I was about to get 2 17s, but I ended up getting a 17 and a 3. So
Damn
the
it.
total's 21.
Okay.
All right. Is there some sort of like balcony or vantage point or like, I don't know, something, a watchtower that I can just go and like that has a little bit of height to it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, the firmaments is
Just go,
high
yeah,
up.
to
Yeah.
the top of the firmament.
You would go to the top of the firmaments, and there are several towers there that are meant to watch the passes below.
Mhm.
You could easily find a high vantage point there.
Cool. That's what I would like to do.
Okay, so I imagine then you two would split up towards the top of the firmaments as Wiswick is meant to go to the temple, and you dash off. I imagine you pretend to start going down the steps, and then
circle back.
Exactly. And Wiswick, you would be concealed enough to watch her do this. You see she rushes over to one of the point, because I imagine there are several towers kind of lining the walls of the highest peak. Katya, you can rush over to one of these towers and start heading up to the top. They're not super tall because the peak itself is quite tall.
Mhm.
What would you like to do when you get there?
Since I heard the wings, how far away did they sound? Were they I mean, they're obviously close enough that I could hear them.
What's the range on your special hearing? I forgot what it is. Check your racial features.
Those are all monk features. Come on. Racial traits. It just says you have advantage on perception skill checks that rely on hearing. Doesn't have a range.
That means I changed the feature.
Ooh.
But originally I think it was you could determine the direction of any sound within a certain range.
Yeah, no, it doesn't
Generally
have that.
speaking, though, they're coming from the sky, high up above. Not
Okay.
super far away, though. They sound fairly close. To the normal ear, the waterfalls hide them.
Sure.
But to the trained ear, they can discern the difference.
Okay.
Outside around this area, the gardens are there. There's some mild torches. You might see one or two diviners moving about, but everyone's pretty much in the firmament temple.
I look to the sky.
Give me a perception check.
Dirty 20.
Okay. You see the shape of something moving through some clouds. And then you see the clouds almost like something move through them, but nothing comes out of them. And you start to hear like a whistling, almost like something descending. What do you do?
Like descending like towards me?
Towards something in the general vicinity of you.
Ugh. Okay. What do I do? What do I do? You know what I do, Sean? I cast Watery Sphere, and I try and see if I can encompass this thing. Even though I can't see it, but I'm going to use my hearing to try and see if I can encompass it in a watery sphere with my spear. Watery sphere with my spear.
Spear. Spear.
Give me a perception check again. With advantage because it's for hearing.
Ooh, not disadvantage because it's
good.
invisible.
26.
Oh wait, no. Flat roll because it's invisible.
Oh.
Sorry.
So that's the 7 then.
But I was hearing.
Doesn't matter. It neutralized it. The hearing only
My
prevented you from
ears.
getting disadvantage. What is it total
12.
with that 7?
12.
You watch as you direct your spear, and I will say at the very least, the watery sphere does happen, but the creature just pushes through it entirely.
Hmm.
And you see it at first for a moment.
Do I see an outline or something?
You do see an outline as it pushes through it. As you see this dragon-like figure. It's not as big as the dragon you fought in the swamps.
Oh, good.
But across, you see the splashes of water, almost like the trail of a meteor. As you see then, as you see some dust kick up in the courtyard in front of the firmament temple.
Book it.
Wiswick, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did I see all this? Like, what the hell did I notice?
I mean, you would see the splashing of water through the creature. You would see Katya. You essentially see Katya point her spear out, and you'd see this globule of water appear that almost looks like it's waves in the way it's circling, and you'd see a creature pummel right through it invisibly, and then you would see it land in the courtyard.
I immediately cast message to Timber and Kieran and say, I get like a sentence, I guess. So, Katya's fighting some dragon thing. Outside, danger! Come find me! Look up!
XOXO.
That was very bad. Please say again.
Bad
No,
reception.
I'm not insulting you. Your microphone was bad.
Oh. I did a Wiswick voice that said danger. Will Robinson danger.
You all would hear this message come from Wiswick as you hear the creature land outside in this plume of smoke. Katya, as you're running out to the courtyard, what you would see is this dust kicked up, sweeping through the gardens. You would see kind of like this amorphous energy floating in a green light, reminiscent of the scars on Farthio, around a draconic figure that would have this gray scales all across its body. It has 4 eyes that glow the same green light. It has across its back this fiery red-black mane that then ascends to its tail, which ignites into its own flame. You'd see
Let me know if I can cast again, Sean.
Oh
creature land.
my god.
Ooh,
Well, fuck.
cool.
Yeah, that's
Guess
that's
who
really
uses
cool.
that
only
one.
6 level spell slot?
Me too.
And then you would see warping off of it 2 creatures of the same
Oh no.
color as the ethereal energy coming off of it.
Those are cool looking.
As this creature has landed down in the middle of the courtyard, and you can see it just sort of.
So it's not like it's injured.
No, it's clearly
okay.
disoriented though, and
And-
looking
yeah.
for something.
I know exactly what they're looking for. I don't know
What?
like Katya would. Shanna does.
What are they looking for?
Oh boy.
And that's where we're gonna end tonight.
I knew it!
I wanted to do stuff.
We'll get to it next week.
Wait a
Thank
whole
you.
7 days.
You gotta wait a whole 7 days to cast crazy magic on this thing from your
No.
very hidden position.
No.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a return of a lot of programming this week.
Yeah.
We've got the return of Relaxing in Paradise. We took a break last week to figure out some Jasper's Game Day stuff. So Relaxing in Paradise will return this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shannon, while I'm doing this, find someone for us to raid, please. Once again, on Sunday, we have the Sean and Shannon Power Hour at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll recap a whole bunch of sessions. And then again, we have Advantage in Paradise next week, as our heroes will deal with this incursion.
What are they looking for?
Who? Oh, I don't know. Do you know?
Who? I said what? It's a who? They're looking for
It's
someone
I mean,
specific?
what? I mean, who?
Can't tell if you're joking. I can't tell if you're joking. All right, there's a smile. Yep, all right.
TTRPG
No, I can
community
tell.
stuff. Sean and Shannon. I'm Sean. We'll
Yeah,
be
you're Sean.
dueling waffles and syrup on Dragon's Duel, the D&D game show, on Saturday, July 31st, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's an improv game, and laughs are hopefully guaranteed. Season 3 of The Scales Above from Roll for Damage will be starting up soon. We will be doing a table talk on Friday, July 16th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard.
No. 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, thank you. It is at 9
9
o'clock.
o'clock.
I'm only reading the notes you prepared.
Yeah, I know. I just realized I'm gonna fix it right now.
Where we'll talk about the upcoming season for the Roll for Damage channel. Jasper's Game Day in Paradise is going to be July 22nd to the 25th. The auctions are closed today, but there will still be opportunities to donate. If there are any seats that have not received bids yet, they are still up. So if you want to play with us, please go over to our auction channel and donate, bid, and you can get a seat at one of our games. The Tilfai link for Jasper's Game Day will be going live right before the event, so keep an eye out for that, info on how you can affect the games. And we'll have a lot of fun. We've got a lot of awesome folks who are going to be participating in that with some really great community members. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us next week for that. It's already here. Next Thursday it starts. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. Shannon, who are we?
We're reading Josh.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Give our love over to Joshua Simons, a good friend of the channel, and Jasper's Game Day Ambassador and in charge of their ambassador program. Really great person. Go give them our love. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join us for more programming this week. And of course, next week for Advantage in Paradise again, as our heroes fight off this threat and continue their ventures in the
Who says we're
Leviathan Rock World.
fighting it?
That's true. You might make friends with it. Or just ignore it. Who knows?
Unlikely.
Just jump out the back balcony. The right way thing to do. All right, everyone. Say your version of goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Your version of goodbye.
Good evening.
Your version of goodbye.
Bye.
I said it first.
You did
Alex,
say it
your
first.
face froze on that one too. Sean, for the last half an hour, me, Stefan, and Wiswick, our screens here were fine, but screens on stream were frozen. And then Alex's froze with his hand like this in his face, which was kind of funny. And you were the only one that was moving.
My computer was starting to struggle to handle the live stream towards the end.
Yeah. No worries. They could still hear us. That's fine.
Struggle is real. For a half second, I thought that like a new avatar of Hairfost was showing up.
Yeah, right.
To be like, hey,
Guess what?
burn my heart, bitch. I'm gonna kill you.
No.
No. It's just a dragon of Carcery.
Almost. Partially, yes.
Is it one of the? Is it linked to one of the Drake gods?
Surprisingly, no, actually.
Oh. So what is it?
It's linked to the enemy of Demukna.
What?
The Mukna has enemies, but she's such a chill gal.
Only one.
Is it me?
Yeah. It's Eladra.
Yikes.
This whole
No.
time they've been red wedding you. At the end of this
Yeah,
dinner, they're just gonna
that's
kill
it.
you.
Yeah.
You worship Eladra, that bitch?
Oh, her name's Ilivanya.
Still a bitch.
Oh man.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
Hey,
Hmm.
you prevented this fight from being just Katya and Wiswick fighting them. By
I mean, I feel like people would have heard it.
no, everyone heard it. No, that's no.
Alright.
But I'm saying removing the mark. If it was just
Oh.
that the mark was still there, these
He would've gone
creatures
right to
would
it.
have been going right to Katya and Wiswick, and you'd be
Yeah.
much further away, and it would be just the two of them fighting it.
Instead, it's in the courtyard where all these hunters and diviners can come out and just all
Exactly.
cast Sacred Flame on it.
Yeah, this is. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's probably not gonna be a very hard fight.
That's good.
But
Good.
I
The
wanted
last
it to
fight was hard.
Yeah, I mean, this fight.
It's just long.
This was not meant to be this is, even if you were lost all of it, this wasn't meant to be a Pale Covenant level fight. This is more of a skirmish, but it's going to be even less of a skirmish since you have a bunch of diviner clerics inside.
Yep. Perfect.
But also, I mean, yeah, we'll do it next week. I don't have to just sit here and justify my monsters, and
You don't have to.
I feel the need.
As long as we kill it. Well, I mean, I guess we don't have to. As long as I can take its heart out.
immediately. So,
Kieran just walks up to it with his new hand and goes, let's see how good this thing really is, and just shoves it through its chest, rips at its heart, takes a bite out of it, and goes,
Oh, gross.
That is delicious.
Ooh.
I'm really really
Ooh.
liking this toy that they got on Josh's stream. I don't know what he's doing right now on stream, but it's
A
a
mini
cool
painting.
Toy.
I still like these guys.
Yeah, those are really cool looking. When did you get those? Have you
Today.
had those?
What are those? Oh,
I'm not gonna
Link in
lie.
chat.
I planned this encounter
Shannon,
when
drop the link in chat.
What? Oh, fuck. Thank you.
Josh